Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you some more in-depth techniques for using the spot removal tool. So that is shortcut Q on the keyboard. Typically people think it's for, pimples or whatever, but it can be used for so much more and it saves you a trip to Photoshop. In my previous photos I showed you how we used it on the telephone poles in the background of this image. In this picture, we used it on the pile of poop and the telephone poles. In this picture, we used it on a pile of sticks. So for these few that I took in Vegas last week, I'm going to show you how to erase people. We'll start with this one because it's the easiest. I'm just going to apply an edit that I made a little bit ago, but I just wanted to desaturate my yellows and my blues a little bit and then make the rest of the colors pop. This was shot after the sunset, so I had a really high ISO, and my f-stop was as low as possible, which, as you know, means the background is way more out of focus. It's called bokeh. That's like these orbs and lights and things. So shooting at a very low f-stop makes spot removing people out of the background easier. Had this all been perfectly in focus, one, it wouldn't have looked professional or aesthetically pleasing, and two, it would have been almost impossible to erase the people. So you'll see how the bokeh masks kind of sloppy spot removing. So we're going to start by pressing Q on the keyboard. This is way too small, so I'm going to bring it up a bit. Okay, and this is some guy. Let's just get rid of him. We'll just scribble right over him. And we're going to use clone instead of heal because we just want a little more control for this one. I want to keep that railing intact. So, right there actually looks pretty good. Do a quick before and after. So that guy is gone. Now this is really sad and I feel horrible about doing this, but this is someone that was actually sleeping on the bridge. Super sad, but I don't want them in my picture. So I'm just going to remove bits of them at a time. And in this case, healing might look a little better than cloning. Actually, we'll just leave it at clone. Okay, and that's almost good. Okay, it's good enough for now. I know it's not perfect. We just need to blend out this little transition between them, so I'm going to do a line right here. Okay, that looks good. So we've erased the guy over here and we've erased the guy here. We'll do before and after. It's just cleaning up the background. So then there's this guy in a blue shirt standing here. I mean, you can hardly tell because of the fact that it's so out of focus. Okay. That looks pretty good. And then you can still see his reflection here. And we want to be consistent with our work, so we'll just obscure him. Okay, we're going to press Q one more time because we're done with that tool. Before and after. Looks so much better now, and it's a little off center, so I'll just crop out a little bit of that. Okay. This image is done. Again, before and after. We've erased 3 people and even erased the guy in the reflection. So we're going to copy this edit because I really like the way the colors look, and I took a bunch of pictures in this exact spot. So this one's going to be a little more extreme. We'll paste the edit. Okay, that looks good. I'm not going to tweak it at all. And we are going to erase this giant guy, and I'm going to show you how to do it. We'll start with clone, bring it a little bigger, and we'll just start with his head. So select that, and I'm going to take whatever's directly next to it. All right, that looks good. Now we're going to take part of his shoulder and take what's directly to the left of it. And now we're going to take his other shoulder and just paste that same thing on top of it. Now we'll get rid of his lower back and butt, just one half at a time, because the smaller sections we do, the more accurate it will look. And by doing it in small sections, we can kind of preserve the linear perspective of this railing. And I know it might look a little chaotic as we work on it, but if someone were to look at this photo edited for the first time, they would have no idea that there were once people in the background, because it's all bokeh anyway, and they're really focused on the model, not the background. So far we've kept our railing pretty consistent, and now we just need to get rid of his legs. And we'll start with his feet. Looks good. That doesn't look good. Just adjust as you go. Okay, and we're almost there. I just want to clean this transition up a bit. Okay, that looks good. And then, once again, I feel like a jerk, but we need to erase this person here. All right. So as you can see, it's a little bit splotchy. I would just go through and smooth those transitions out with Heal instead of Clone, because Heal is really just taking the texture and then trying to balance out the colors. And then there's just one more spot I want to get rid of here. And we'll press Q and we'll check it out. I mean, it's not perfect, but it looks better than before. Before, after. Those are all just lights. They don't have to be perfect. And it looks like there's still one more person here that we could get rid of. This one will be a little bit harder because she's so close to our subject. So I want to zoom in a bit. This is a time where I would want to use Clone instead of Heal, because Heal would want to maintain some of her green and the black and the brown, but Clone is going to take what's directly next to her. And I will lessen my feather a tiny bit, because I'm going to be working with an edge that actually touches my subject, and I don't want to mess her jacket up too much. Okay, we'll start with the woman's hair, and we'll take whatever's directly next to her. I guess I will bring the feather back up a bit. Okay, that actually doesn't look bad. We'll do the same for her shirt and her skirt. And this is all pretty plain right here, so it's not that complicated. And now I need to get rid of her calf. And I can slide this part in a little bit closer just to get rid of some of that green. And yeah, it is going to mess up the jacket a little bit, but nobody will notice. And then I'm going to make my brush super small and just get rid of her foot. All right, that looks good. And now we have this weird transition, so we can go through again, make the brush a little larger, put the feather all the way up to smooth the transitions, and then click Heal instead of Clone. And then slide that down to a more simple space. Okay. Let's do before and after. If we want to go a little bit crazier, we can use our adjustment brush. So click K on the keyboard, make the brush a little bit larger, press O on the keyboard so you know exactly where you've drawn. And I just want to smooth the road out a little bit. Press O again. That automatically did the exposure again, so reset that by double clicking Effect. And now just drop the clarity. And then I would even bring the exposure down a tiny bit, and it still looks inconsistent. So I'd press K again, and we're going to go on top of it. So we're going to just drop the clarity as much as possible. Press O. Okay, that helped a little bit, not as much as I'd hoped, but the end result is still better than before. I'm also noticing now that she has a broken nail. So this is a time where someone would think that the only thing you could do would be use Photoshop, but that's not true. We're actually going to use the spot removable, and we're going to copy another nail, probably this one right here, and put it on top of this one. You just have to make sure you're drawing it at the same angle, because we are limited being as we only are using Lightroom. Okay, we'll slide over this nail. Just adjust it till we find a spot we like. Press Q. And it's not perfect, but it looks much better than before. So that's all for this image. This one's already done, before and after, and then I just wanted to show you the final product for this last one of my sister. The background looks crazy, I know, but it's all bokeh, doesn't matter. And check this out before. I think there were 5 or 6 people here. Before, after. And that's all for erasing people and making the most of your spot removal tool. Thank you guys.